That Medicare envelope sitting in your mail pile could be worth hundreds of dollars to you next year. And the scary part is, you may already have it in your house. Inside that envelope are numbers that can quietly change what you pay for your Medicare plan, your prescriptions, and your health care in 2027. One number could mean paying more every single month. Another could hit you with a much bigger bill when you pick up your prescriptions. And most people will never notice the change until the money is already coming out of their pocket. But there is one number you need to find before you assume you're stuck with the new cost. Because unlike the others, this one may still give you a way to fight back. So before you throw that September Medicare letter into a drawer or leave it underneath the rest of your mail, take a few minutes and find these three numbers. And if you want straightforward Medicare updates explained without confusing insurance language or unnecessary jargon, subscribe to the channel. We break down the numbers, deadlines, and changes that can affect your healthcare costs, so you can understand what you're looking at before it costs you money. Somewhere in your mail this month is an envelope that will determine your healthcare costs for the entire year ahead. Most people glance at it, decide it looks like standard insurance paperwork, and put it in a pile with the catalogs. By the time the financial impact shows up in January, the opportunity to do something about it has already closed. This is the annual notice of change from your Medicare plan. It arrives in September for a specific reason. Your plan sends it 3 months before the new year begins, because that timing creates a window when you can still make a decision. Medicare requires your plan to send this notice, and Medicare's own website is clear about when it should arrive. That word is September. So the letter that sets your costs for next year is landing in your house right now. Inside that envelope are 3 numbers. These 3 numbers determine what your healthcare costs you for 12 months, from January through December. Understanding what each number means and knowing which ones you can actually change makes a significant difference to your budget. 2 of these numbers are already decided by the time the paper reaches your table. The third one is different. That third number can still be moved without leaving your plan, without hiring a broker, and without paying anyone a cent. That is the part worth understanding first. The 3 numbers. The first number is your monthly premium. This is the amount that leaves your bank account every single month, whether you see a doctor or never see one at all. Your plan decides this figure, prints it in the notice, and that amount stays in place from January onward. Everyone holding that same plan pays the identical premium. It does not change if your health changes. It does not change if you use the plan more or less than expected. It is simply the cost of having that plan. Who does a premium increase land on hardest? The household living entirely on a fixed Social Security check. When a plan raises the premium by $20 a month, that might sound small in the moment. Over a full year, that is $240. For someone whose monthly income does not move and whose expenses never shrink, $240 is real money. It is the grocery shopping you skip or the meal you pass on. And if the premium goes up again next year, that decision repeats. A 74-year-old man I will call Robert held the same Medicare plan for 6 years. He never opened the annual notice of change. His premium increased by $18 a month that year. He never saw the notice, so the number passed right by him. When his Social Security deposit arrived in January, it was smaller than he expected. He assumed the government had made an error. In fact, his plan had told him back in September, and he had put the notice on the pile. No one ever reads that envelope unless someone tells them to. So what can you actually do about the premium? Only one thing, and it requires acting during a specific window that opens next month. The answer matters only if you attach a deadline to it. The second number is your yearly deductible. This is the amount you pay out of your own pocket before your drug coverage starts paying anything at all. Some plans set this deductible at 0. Others set it as high as the law allows. For this year, that limit sits at a maximum of $600. No drug plan can charge more than that. Your notice tells you which point in that range your plan has chosen for next year. The deductible stings in a way the premium does not. The premium is spread across 12 months. The deductible comes due all at once. January arrives, You go to the pharmacy to fill prescriptions you have been refilling every month. Suddenly, the counter asks for full price because your plan has not started paying yet. Nothing about your health changed. Nothing about your medications changed. What changed is the calendar. Your deductible reset, and you are paying the first chunk before the plan kicks in. Who feels this impact most? Someone taking 2 or 3 regular medications who has spent all year paying a steady, small amount at the counter. They have built their household budget around that steady cost. Then January comes. The deductible resets. The first chunk of the year lands on them all at once. A woman named Sarah takes a blood pressure medication, a thyroid medication, and an arthritis drug. For most of the year, she pays $15 per prescription. Then January arrives. She still fills the same 3 prescriptions, but now she pays full price until she has paid $600 total. That is the reality of the deductible reset. So what can you actually do about the deductible? The same answer as the premium. It is a feature of the plan itself, not a decision about you. It only changes when the plan changes. And changing the plan only happens during a specific enrollment window. But the third number is where the situation becomes different. This is the number almost nobody reads, and it is the only one of the 3 that actually answers to you. The drug tier prescriptions do not carry one single price under Medicare Part D. Each medication is placed on a tier by your plan, and that tier decides what you pay at the pharmacy. A medicine on a low tier might cost you $3. The exact same medicine moved up 2 tiers might cost you $100 or more. Your plan is allowed to move any drug from one tier to the next, from year to year. Sometimes a cheaper generic version comes on the market, and your plan moves the brand name drug to a higher tier. Sometimes the deal your plan struck with the manufacturer runs out and the medicine gets moved up. A medication that sat on a low shelf for years can suddenly be placed on a higher one. The plan has to tell you it has done this, and the notice in your September mail is where that notification appears. Finding it takes a few minutes and no special knowledge at all. Somewhere in the notice is a section comparing this year against next year. Your medications are listed down one side with the tier number beside each one. You run your finger down the pairs and look for any row where the 2 columns disagree. Any row where this year's tier number does not match next year's tier number. A woman named Linda had exactly 1 row like this. She took a heart medication that her plan had placed on tier 2 for years. This year, that same medication moved to tier 3. Her premium had not changed, her deductible had not changed, but that single row was worth $40 more per month to her. She only found it because someone told her the rows existed. She never would have looked for it otherwise. There is a second Medicare window that works nothing like the enrollment period I mentioned earlier. This window only opens in certain situations and has different rules entirely. It is called a coverage determination. Here is what makes it powerful. You can request a coverage determination any week of the year. It does not matter if you are in the middle of enrollment. It does not matter if it is March or November or December. The process never closes. It costs you nothing, and it keeps you in the plan you already have. Making a coverage determination request involves 2 phone calls and 1 paragraph from your doctor. First, you call your plan and ask for a coverage determination on the drug that moved to a higher tier. You tell them the medication and the tier it moved to. That is all. They will mail or email you the paperwork. Second, you show the paperwork to the doctor who prescribed that medication. You ask them to write 1 short statement explaining the medical reason this drug should be covered at a lower tier. This is not a lengthy appeal. It is 1 paragraph of medical reasoning. The doctor's office has almost certainly filled in this exact form before. A receptionist can usually say yes or no on the spot. Here is what Medicare itself says about this statement. A request like this needs a statement from the person who wrote the prescription, explaining the medical reason the exception should be granted. That 1 paragraph is the difference between an approval and a refusal. Most people never learn this step exists. That is why this step gets skipped. What happens if your coverage determination is denied? You have options. Medicare runs a formal appeal process behind that first answer, and you have 65 days from the date on the denial letter to use it. The letter itself is required to tell you exactly how to appeal. You are not stuck with the first decision. Who does a coverage determination help most? Anyone on a brand name medication with no generic alternative. Anyone whose plan quietly moved one drug up the list while leaving everything else exactly where it was. That second case is common and almost invisible because nothing else in the notice has changed. The premium stayed steady, the deductible stayed steady, one line moved, and the entire year got more expensive. The enrollment window. Now, back to the promise I made about the premium and the deductible, because they do have an answer, and it comes with very specific dates attached. The premium and the deductible belong to the plan. The only way to change them is to change the plan. And there is exactly one stretch of the year when that is allowed. Medicare publishes these dates plainly. October 15th through December 7th. Those are the dates. During this window, you can switch to a different plan, or you can switch from original Medicare to Medicare Advantage, or you can switch back. Whatever you choose during this stretch takes effect on January 1st of the new year. But there is one deadline that matters. Your request to switch plans has to reach your current plan by December 7th. Miss that date, and the numbers in the envelope stand for the entire year. That puts the September notice in a different light. It is not just a summary of decisions already taken. It is a last warning sent while the door is still open. If your plan's premium increased significantly, or if your deductible jumped, this enrollment window is your chance to look at other plans. But this step only works if you move before December 7th. What to do now here is the practical sequence. First, find the notice. If you have already received it, set it aside. If it has not arrived yet, it will arrive this month. If you cannot find it, call your plan and ask them to send another copy. They will do so immediately. Second, compare this year's premium and deductible against next year's. Put the two notices side by side if you have them. Look at the dollar amounts. Ask yourself whether an increase in either number matters to your budget. If the premium or deductible moves significantly enough that you would consider a different plan, make a note of it. You have until December 7th to act. Third, turn to the drug list section. Read down your medications and look for any medicine that moved to a different tier than it occupied this year. Pay particular attention to any medication that moved up. If you find one, write down the medication name and the tier it moved to. Fourth, if you found a medication that moved to a higher tier, start with a phone call to your plan, asking for a coverage determination on that drug. You can make this call anytime. You do not have to wait for the enrollment period. Tell them which medication and which tier it moved to. They will send you the form. Fifth, call your prescriber's office. Ask them to review the form and write the supporting statement explaining the medical reason this medication should be covered at a lower tier. A receptionist can usually confirm they will do this. Finally, confirm any of this with Medicare directly if you have questions. The number is 1-800-6334-227. That line is staffed around the clock. Everything here comes from the public pages on Medicare.gov. One final caution. Never give your Medicare number to anyone who contacts you first. Medicare will never call you asking for your number. If someone reaches out to you unsolicited, claiming to represent Medicare, they do not. No one from this channel will ever contact you. Your Medicare information is yours to protect. The September notice is not just standard insurance mail. It is a 3-month warning that your costs are about to change. 2 of those changes are already decided. One of them is still in your hands. That is the reason the envelope is worth opening.